Okay, so Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 2 came out yesterday. I finished it last night. Um, there was like 3 fucking episodes. So we're gonna do a little review. I'm gonna do this again. What I did with the Volume 1, what I do episode by episode. So episode 5, the Shock Jock. So basically how it was basically it's like sort of like a recap of, like what happened. Like Will and Mike, they of course being fucking shocked that he was able to do that. But then he doesn't. Like they later find out that it was because Mike Will is able to go into the hive mind when either when the Vecna's close. So he's able to get to the hive mind. That's how he's able to get. He was able so he's able to get to the Demogorgon's mind and control him. And basically, what happens is everyone like congratulates, everyone's like shocked like crazy, like wondering how the people like shocked that P killed him. So, but they need to find out where Holly is. So they still need to find out where Holly is. So they're basically going in, and then they get one of the dead Demogorgons. Basically, they find one of the dead Demogorgons in the one truck. Basically, and like I don't know, people I have some people were like, oh, like how the Demogorgon not come back to life. I mean, well, basically broke its fucking bones and fucking just broke its fucking neck, so it wasn't going to come back. So, what happened was they basically do what they did to Billy in season 3, and also what they did to Will, where they kind of got that little the hive, whatever it's called, the black thing out of it. So they basically do that. They basically go to the back up to the tower, and they basically just hook up a bunch of like electric to it, like wire cables and electric to it. Basically, have a bunch of heat to it, honestly. And basically, Will was able to get back into the hive mind. He was able to get back into find the kids. Finds out that the kids went back to his mind, but also finds out Max is there too, and Max and Hollywood together. So he was basically able to, and then like he was able to get into Vecna's mind, control Vecna's mind. It was really cool seeing that. I think they were in the I'm pretty sure they were in a Wheeler's house, basically where Holly, Max trying to get Holly to go into like her memories, basically, ends up going to the night that she got captured. So it's Holly and Max are still trying to get out. Henry comes behind him in his Henry form. Comes behind him, basically tries to attack and get him back. So basically, he tries to strangle Max. He calls Max like a fox basically, and basically, so he tries to get Max, try to literally kill Max this time, but then Will was able to get into Vecna's mind and basically have Vecna let go of Max and then tell Max and Holly to run and get out of there, which is really cool. It was a really cool scene. He basically speaks Vecna's like snaps Vecna's leg. It was his leg was an ankle. He fucking snaps. Um, then of course Vecna finds a way to push him out. Will gets fucking gets fucking chucked quite a good distance away, and then gets and it's been knocked out because of it. And then basically he Will is in Vecna's mind, but and then Vecna takes him back to the library where Will originally was. He was in the library, basically where Will originally was in season 1. So and then then you get Hopper, Callie, and 11. Basically, they're trying to like get together, and they're basically just like trying to work things out. And then Callie basically they escape. So for those who don't know what Callie's power is, she can just make things look like they're there, but they're not. She does make those illusions basically. So she makes an illusion that where they like the military, they all look, and they see Callie is still there in the little lab area, but then Linda Hampton's character, I forget her name. Maybe hopefully it's in here somewhere. Uh, she basically finds out that it's an illusion. So basically, she finds out that it's just an illusion, and basically, so then they were like looking all over trying to find out where the hell they went to, of course. So basically, yeah. So in fact, we'll go to more about Henry as well in a little bit here. Um, so basically, Callie face finds out that uh she's uh she's trying to do the continue what Brenner was doing, but worse because she's so Linda Hamilton's character, she's basically infusing pregnant women with Eight's blood and trying to continue the experiment that Brenner originally did, which is a really good fucking twist. I know nothing else I was not expecting that at all. It was a really good twist. Then Callie was, of course, uh, telling Eleven about that. So we're just putting it in 11, of course. Doesn't really believe her at first, but then Callie also says that that she's gonna plan on doing it to 11 if they don't stop this whole thing. And then so basically Hopper's just along the line, he's supposed to be, and then they they go back to their church. Hopper, Kelly, and 11, they go to the church. However, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, and Dustin, they're not there because they're at the lab. They went to the lab thinking that that's where the kids were, but turns out that wasn't. It was basically just like a giant fucking like an energy. I forget what they called it. It was like an energy beam basically that Nancy of course tried to shoot. That Nancy tried to shoot. They were an upside down version of Hawkins' lab. Nancy tried to shoot like a giant like a little bubble. She tried to shoot it, but then this shit basically just hits the fan. They nearly die, especially like they almost like drown like the slow basically the whole that place like starts melting basically because of the whole because of the giant orb that basically happened, and basically the place starts melting, and then they nearly die, but eventually they do the place goes back to solidifying basically. Jonathan of course proposes, well well kind of. They both he does, but they both at the same time they think that they're both gonna die right then and there. Because I thought they were gonna fucking die right then and there. Like I was like it was kind of a shocker. Because I thought they were about to die right then and there. So basically apologize. They really do patch up the fights pretty quickly, which is really good. So they all get out. Then Steve and Dustin they get into a huge fight. Basically, they get into a huge fight. Well, kind of. Dustin tries to beat the shit out of him, but then Steve he of course like says that Eddie basically shouldn't have done what he did, of course, and that like that Dustin and Eddie they didn't listen to what he said. So because of that, they get into, the Steve and Dustin they get into a huge fight, of course. And then but then Dustin was looking into Brenner's notes, finds out that orb basically, and of course they kind of patch things up in the next episode, which is really good. Then you get excuse me. So back in the stream mode, you get all the kids, of course. In Henry's mind, their kids all say they're in a house. They're in that house, of course. They things seem safe. Like obviously, Henry's like, don't go into the woods. There's monsters out in the woods. Don't go in the woods. Of course, Derek. Of course, and then Holly goes out to meet Max in the woods. But then Derek follows Holly, basically to find out that basically he's their Holly and Derek. They're trying to find out how to get everyone out, but it doesn't work, of course. And then later on, Derek ends up getting lost, and Vecna is right behind him, and then he basically just like threatens Derek, of course, with his family because Henry threatens threatens Derek. He's gonna kill his family, of course, and then so it basically just goes through. So Derek has to not open his mouth too much, of course. So he has to go with the other kids and say then let's agree with Henry. He has to agree with Henry. So, um, I believe that's everything from season episode 5. I believe. I believe that's everything now. So now let's go to episode 6, Escape from Camelot. So this is a really good episode. This is another really good episode, basically. I'm sure a bit like there were like kind of little nitpicks here and there, but you expect that, of course. You really do expect that, honestly. But a lot of the episodes are really good. I'm really glad they kind of like patch things up, patch up the issues they had in Volume 1, like whole fighting, the fighting. I'm really glad they patched that up here. They really do patch it up in this episode, basically. So yeah, so basically yeah. So how else so yeah, so Holly and Max they find a way to get it to Vecna's mind. Um, and then basically this is when of course, and then they try to escape. They spoiler they eventually do. They eventually do get out. But of course, kind of, kind of. So Max gets out. Max gets out. However, since she's been in a coma, well, it's not really a coma. It's more of a trance because she was basically trapped in Henry's mind and trying to get out. So basically, she escapes, but in reality, her body didn't just was not working at all because it hasn't been working in a long ass time. So she's in a wheelchair now. Um, so basically, yeah, so she's basically back, but her body's working on trying to heal, so she really can't help. Everyone also gets back together, which is really cool. So it's really cool. Holly kind of escapes, kind of. However, she almost escapes. Basically, the one part is that the upside down is a wormhole, basically. So for those who don't know what a wormhole is, a wormhole theoretically it hasn't never been proven, but a wormhole essentially like a space portal in between one point in time to another point in time. So and then to find out the upside down is actually a portal. Yeah, like the yellow yellow version of it. You get the and then underneath that you get the blue version, and then you get the normal Hawkins. So and then of course the government trying to like patch things up, of course. Um, so basically, yeah. So Holly she kind of escapes. She the place Vecna was at uh is like near the Hawkins Landing upside down. But however, Vecna finds a way to Vecna basically pulls her back up. Basically, Vecna pulls her back up and just like takes her back to where the hell she was. Um, so Max escapes, but they're just not trying to figure out how to get Holly and the other kids out while Vecna's playing. Basically, Vecna was telling all the kids that like Max is a bad person, trying to convince like Holly that like Holly's wrong, of course. And then of course Derek, of course, goes like, "Oh no, like no, Max isn't real. Max is a monster." Because because Derek can't really say much at all, or else his family's gonna die because of what the Vecna did. And then of course, so basically, she gets taken back into there to Henry's mind, and Henry's plan is to basically merge all the worlds together. So merge the upside down, and Hawkins he wants to merge them together. So which is really interesting. I'm kind of curious on how that's going to be. Um, then basically, so will because of Henry knocked him out, put Will back to where he was season one. L11 I was trying to find a way to get back to Will. She eventually does. She eventually finds him and gets him out of course, which is pretty cool. She gets him out. Um, Nancy and Jonathan they do find a way. Steve does eventually save them. Of course, which is pretty cool. While Steven does also patch things up, which is really nice. And then Nancy and Jonathan patch things up, which is really cool. So I'm really glad they got that out the way. I'm really glad about that. Then you get then basically no the hospital scene is the next episode. So basically they all get out. Oh, kind of. They all try. They basically this and that's for the next episode. Um, the episode basically ends with Holly falling through the sky. They hear like a scream and find out it's Holly, but they couldn't get her. They unfortunately could not get her at all. Um, so they were kind of like it's pretty cool. So they what they did. Well, that whole thing is literally I thought for sure Holly was gonna escape. I thought for sure Holly was gonna get out. Um, then basically, so Eleven gets Will out, and then while so basically, oh yeah, Eleven gets Will out, which is pretty cool. Then basically, they all find out that Will now has powers now, which is pretty cool. So, but however, Vecna is going to be like much stronger since he'll have the kids. He's probably I feel like he's going to probably absorb the kids' powers. I think is what's going to happen. So, and then basically, it's basically also like I believe it's this episode, I believe, or it could be the next episode. Basically, the Demogorgons, basically, so Vecna finds out where Max is, sends Demogorgons to the hospital to try to like get Max back. It's Lucas, and then Robin and Vicky. They actually have Vicky join in the party this time, which is pretty cool. Vicky joins the party. Mr. Clark joins, which is pretty fucking cool. They had a couple new recruits, of course, which is pretty cool. You have Vicky, Mr. Clark in there, which is pretty cool. Basically, Mr. Clark, I believe this episode. Mr. Clark basically, uh, Erica and Murray, they basically go to Mr. Clark's house at like 5 in the morning. Basically, they try to convince him that Dustin's in danger and they need to find him. And then of course, Mr. Clark, of course, goes to the Upside Down with them, of course. And then oh yeah, so basically, so Mr. Clark goes to the Upside Down with them. He joins them, tries to gets everyone out, which is pretty cool. Do this episode or the next episode, but I want to meld these two episodes together. I'm gonna do this. Um, it's basically they basically get everyone out from the Upside Down. They find out a plan, and then next episode's plan. Next episode is the plan. So everyone gets out except for Holly. Unfortunately. Except for Holly. But they next episode is basically they do like a whole other plan. Yeah. So basically, then we'll get to this episode here. Episode the bridge. So basically, this is basically everyone gets out of course, and then they basically try to figure out like what the hell to do basically. Say Mr. Clark joins, Vicky joins. Turns out Robin, and I think it was the last episode, Robin was basically being chased by the military because they found out that she was one of the people that went there, that went to the, basically went to the Upside Down, of course, so, or got the kids out. I forget what happened, but they said that the military was looking for Robin, and then, of course, as soon as that happened, Robin and Vicky get to fight. Vicky thinks that like Robin is like on drugs, of course, because someone says that shit to me. I want to think you're on drugs. Just saying. So basically, then I believe this is the last. I'm gonna try to meld these episodes together. I apologize. But then Vicky finds a Demogorgon. Basically, of course, military. They try to shoot the Demogorgon. They fucking die like idiots, of course, and then so Vicky then is like, "Oh, I'm sorry for not believing you," stuff like that. And then, well, yeah. So this is the last episode. So, they find out basically they were stuck. They were all the three are stuck in laundry. It's Lucas, Robin, and Lucas, Robin, Vicky, and Vicky all there. And then basically because they got it. They have Robin was trying to get Lucas to turn the music off because the Demogorgons want to find them. It was like a really cool little Jurassic Park reference right there. So it was really cool. But of course the Demogorgons they hear like something going on in a washing machine. Basically, it's kind of like cool, a little interesting thing they do. They have like all the Demogorgons they get distracted, tilt their fucking head, and then basically you find out it was like one of the oxygen tanks that were in the washer. It explodes, and Terrence find out like it was Mrs. Wheeler that did it. So Mrs. Wheeler she gets up. Then So before that, so Robin basically does an announcement that they all got to get to the basement. So that's what Mrs. Wheeler, she basically saves them. Of course, pretty cool. Then basically this episode, basically Mrs. Wheeler, Karen, she wants to come along, but Will and Vicky convince her that she should probably stay there. So Mike and Vicky, of course, convince Karen to stay into the stay at the hospital to help recover. Um, basically, yes, yes, yeah, Holly basically. So basically, Holly. So yeah, Holly wakes up. Uh, so yeah, Holly so she wakes up with all the kids just around her, making sure she's okay. But also, they're also trying to convince her that Max is evil, Henry's good, stuff like that. They get the huge like fucking Holly has a fucking boombox. Smacks one. I'm not kidding. Smacks the shit out of one of the kids, and then basically she's they're all trying to run after Holly. Holly falls down the steps. Holly falls down the steps, of course. Then they end up back at the table with Henry, all the kids. Um, he's basically and then he basically towards the end of the episode, he's all like he was I believe it's the last episode he explained the plan. He wants a merge because he thinks how he goes to him that will help a lot better. Then the last episode is them all holding hands and then them all having their head tilted back, which is really interesting. I'm kind of curious how that's going to be. Then basically, say Mr. Cluck ends up helping out and ends up joining the squad basically, which is pretty cool. Mr. Cluck ends up helping out, joins the squad basically. They tell him and Vicky about the Upside Down, about Vecna and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So, basically tell them all about that, and then basically the military, basically of course trying to find 11 because they think because it's 11 doing this. But they talked to the one, I believe it was a general guy. Talked to him about this. It's like it's a house where he's all cut up. They basically say that like they couldn't kill Vecna whatsoever, and Vecna basically destroyed the shit out of them. Um, so the military starts to look for 11. It's kind of cool little twist with the military, how like Linda Hamilton's scared of how she's like so doing the whole thing for like a Brenner. It's really interesting how they how they did. I was not expecting that shit on, so I was not expecting that whatsoever. It was really cool twist. Space and military social look for 11. They basically find out that like there was a break in Hawkins' lab, which is of course closed down. Of course, they found out it's a break in Hawkins' lab, where everyone tries to get to from the Upside Down. Then, so yeah, it was a pretty cool little thing. And then, so basically, they're all back in the radio tower. I was trying to figure out a plan. One of the plans was Hopper to like get to have like a helicopter, of course, but that course didn't work. And Steve had a plan for like to wait for the merchant to get a bit close, and then they can just destroy it. So it's a really cool scene, and then another really cool scene with Will, where all everyone's kind of ready to go. Then Will basically gets everyone in. Basically, he confesses that he's gay, which is was a really cool scene. And I know I've seen some people like get mad about this, like, oh, why do they wait so long to do this? Yada 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 yada. It was the last episode. I think that he went. I really think he just wanted to get that out. But of course, they really don't care that he's gay. So they were like, yeah, but that's fine. They all, and of course, Will was, of course, scared that they would see him different. They don't, which is pretty cool. So they were all clearly fine with Will Byers being gay, of course. They were all completely fine with that. And then basically they hug him all like most of them. I think it was like a Dustin, Mike, Lucas, 11, Jonathan, and Jonathan, and then I think there might be one more. I think there might be one more. Maybe I don't remember, but they all hug Will, saying that it's okay, and they'll still be like with him, of course. So basically, they all like infiltrate, and they go ready to go for the a final a final crawl. Basically go back and basically trying to find Vecna and in hopes of killing him. And basically, so of course, they went into the military again. Of course, Hopper's there with a fucking machine gun. Well, I think it was an assault rifle. Hopper's there, getting ready to kill all of like most of the military. And of course, he runs out of bullets. Then Nancy pops out of the fucking top, and then fucking kills the rest of them. Of course, they didn't care. They didn't kill Linda Hamilton's character. I'm kind of curious as to what they're going to do with her. I'm really curious actually, but then they basically all escape through into the Upside Down basically, and it's a really cool episode. I'm sure I missed some stuff. I got some episodes confused. I apologize. I basically watched Stranger Things last time. Not kidding. I spent my Christmas watching Stranger Things. I watched Stranger Things, and after that, I kind of like remember I like ended up passing like I like went to bed and ended up passing a little bit afterwards. So I apologize if I forget some stuff. I do apologize about that. But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm really curious on how the final episode will be. It'll be coming out on New Year's Eve. Well, it'll be New Year's Eve, which is really cool. So, by the way, hope you guys had a good Christmas. By the way, hope you guys had a really good Christmas. Yeah. So, final episode of Stranger Things in general will be on Christmas or New Christmas. But I was about to say Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. It'll be a New Year's Eve, of course, on the 31st here. So I'm really excited, but also I'm not sure if I'll be ready yet. Though I'm not sure. But I'm curious on what's gonna happen, like how many people are gonna fucking die, what the hell's gonna happen. I'm really curious as to how that shit's gonna work out. I'm really curious actually. But anyway, that's about it. And I'll see you guys later.